Roger Simon.
And Lionel Chetwynd.
Welcome back to Pollywood after our summer vacations in Saint-Tropez and Bali. But they've gotten interrupted by another case of Hollywood liberalism run amok. And this one, it's really run amok. What is it, Lionel?
Well, a film distributed by Sony, independently financed, to be made by Kathryn Bigelow and Mark Bowl, the team that brought you The Hurt Locker, and it will deal with the taking down of Osama bin Laden.
To be released
October 12th.
just in time for what?
As the home stretch comes in the election. Right. Now, what's curious about that, by the way, is anyone who's ever worked in Hollywood knows that a hard release date that far ahead is almost impossible. Right. They'll say, well, it's fourth quarter, but they have absolutely announced this is obviously intended to be part of the
Clear
campaign.
out theaters.
Right. Well, that's their right, perhaps, okay? Right. But every now and then, something comes along, and you're reminded how conservatives, like you and I, really do have a rat's eye view of the Titanic, known as Hollywood. Because Kathryn Bigelow, she was given something unprecedented. She was given 2 interviews with the Vice Secretary for Intelligence, all right? I detail in a piece on Pajamas Media, how impossible that is, and how George Bush refused to help me get into the Pentagon. This is after an hour with him in the Oval Office, one-on-one. I said, it's going really well. Can you help me get in the Pentagon? He says, no, I can't do that, because that's the obverse of censorship. If I tell you what you can't do, I can't tell them what to do. You meet with their requirements. Well, one of the requirements of the Pentagon was they have an open door. They want to see the script to make sure you don't have American soldiers dressing as Nazis.
Now, they couldn't have seen the script on this one because as yet there is no script.
No, but they had seen it on The Hurt Locker.
Right.
And they had felt burned on The Hurt Locker because she used military vehicles for purposes that she had not declared. There were scenes of Americans abusing detainees, American soldiers abusing detainees that were not in the original script, and that's the only rule. Tell us what you're going to use the stuff for so we can sign off on it and let us see the entire script. Now, what does the Pentagon do if you double-cross them? Which is, in effect, what that is. You know, they don't sue you. They just say, don't ever come back. Not only is she getting back in there, but she's got interviews at levels no one ever thought of. For example, when Jerry Bruckheimer went to Washington, he was preparing Black Hawk Down. I mean, this is a serious player, right? And he got to meet the Secretary of Defense, and he got to meet the Chief of Staff, but he didn't get the Undersecretary for Intelligence. She has been given unprecedented access. Why is that interesting? Because I certainly couldn't get that for DC 9/11. I urge people to go, on Pajamas Media, I detail what it's like to be a conservative, dealing with a conservative administration and how they're not going to deal with it. The amazing thing is that she got in, she was given this, but it really isn't amazing when you think about the fact that the Undersecretary for Intelligence is a political appointee. And there is every reason to believe that, in fact, this administration is absolutely pressuring legitimate arms of the government to assist the popular culture in making what is going to be a propaganda film, because they made a big fuss. I mean, if I may, it took them 16 hours to decide to take Osama bin Laden down. That's just how bad this president is.
Well,
it should have taken them 16 seconds, and it was a no-brainer.
I think we can stipulate that almost any president, any human being of an American patriotic slice who had been president at that moment would have said, out. In a second.
Well, so, according to Joe Biden, I watched this president
wrestle with it. Right?
It's just nauseating. Anyway.
Well, okay, besides being nauseating,
I'm not going to get passionate.
What will be the interesting thing is, and we'll never get a look at it, but to get Mark Bowl, who wrote the Hurt Locker, is going to be writing this script. Now, a script could be written which would tell the truth. It is that it wasn't the president who found bin Laden. No way in the world could any president living in Washington find bin Laden. People have been working on finding bin Laden since September 12th and before. As we know, Clinton tried to kill bin Laden years before that. Yeah. So this is nothing that any.
They said this is over three administrations, and I challenge them. Produced any evidence that you spoke to anybody in any other administration before you were put up to this. By the way, we should specify and stipulate. Anyone wants to go on Hollywood, look at the program we did on Hurt Locker. We both loved the film. Yeah. In spite of its failures in certain respects in dealing with the military, we thought it was a wonderfully made film, and we praised it highly.
And deserved its Oscar.
I voted for it.
Yeah, so did I.
Goodness gracious.
So we both voted for it.
So it's not about the film, and it's not about their skills as filmmakers.
No, indeed, it's the reverse.
It's about the corruption of this administration. The question is to be, what is it about this administration and Hollywood that, to me, Roger, feels totally different? They like Clinton, but there's something they adore about Obama. I'm talking the upper reaches.
Yeah, you're very much in the upper reaches. I actually
I'm talking
dispute that.
at the
I actually think that's not true. But I think that they are so true to their school, it doesn't matter. He's wearing blue. I think they actually dislike Obama, and I think Obama is not popular here.
I tell you what I think it is. I think where I think the affection comes from, and it can be seen in the universities, it can be seen in the entire elites. They buy into his notion that the modern world is too complicated for ordinary people, that it can only be left to experts. And they're the experts, Katzenberg, Geff, and Spielberg. We should be the czars, that they see themselves as part of a ruling elite, a natural ruling elite, philosopher kings, and this is the first president to come along and say, that's who should be governing
Maybe,
this.
but I bring down my duck. Duck, Groucho. I think that Hollywood loves winners.
There's a reference for an old Jew.
Right. I think that basically Hollywood loves winners. And Clinton was kind of a winner.
What about George Bush? No, they don't love winners. Come on.
They love.
And they still hate Reagan. No. Find a better basis.
No,
I got to cut you off.
Well, we have a little dispute here on Hollywood that we will carry forward in the future. There's not a dispute about the major purpose of this show, which is you don't make propaganda movies in Hollywood 1 month before elections. That's a given.
Well, you do if you're Obama.
Yeah, well, obviously. But
it's unheard of. The point is, it's really important. This is unheard of. That kind of access never been granted. Double-crossing the Pentagon, getting back in, never done before. A hard release date, 14 months in advance, never done before. This is unprecedented. There are a couple of people, one of them an alleged conservative, wandering around Hollywood saying, nothing special here. Untrue. This is egregious.
It's egregious.
He said, filled with self-righteous egregiousness.
But self-righteousness aside, I'm going to ask you one last very quick question because we're at the end. Okay. You think they're going to make an October 12 release?
No.
Me neither. And that is Roger Simon.
And Lionel Chetwynd.
In Bollywood.